Well, in this atheist reads, idiot atheist reads Bible verses. Well, I'll let you know a little something. You probably didn't realize it. You know that God in the Bible actually calls these creationist fools? Now you may say, certainly you're not being honest with that. Well, let's put it this way. If they can misrepresent science and purposely misquote scientists and people who write books or do lectures and science journals, and they can do their quote mines, and we can do the same thing with their, with their unholy books, the Bible, the Koran, or whatever. But this particular verse is, of course, in Proverbs chapter 26, verse 5. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. And of course, the verse before that is answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou be like unto him. Well, first off, we'll do verse 4. One of the reasons why it's not necessarily a good idea to debate these creationists or fools, as the Bible's calling them, is let's face facts. They're going to misquote you. They're going to quote mine, and they'll do what's called a gish gallop. Basically make a lot of purposely give a lot of wrong answer, wrong information. They'll fire it out real quick. So when it's your turn to debate, to defend, evolution, you have to first correct the nonsense that they just said. So now you can't really give any information about anything, because these people already basically shot it down with the gish gallop. If you know Shelton Smith, you've checked him out, his Word of the Lord and all that stuff. He's actually quite fond of that Gish guy, because he makes a lot of errors in his evolution creation CDs, which I, of course, went through in my moron reviews. You should watch that. And of course, the second one, answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. Now, obviously, you're not going to get away get anywhere with these apologists. They are very skilled, and no matter what you say, they're going to twist what you say. They're going to do what they can to twist what you say. They're going to lie. They're going to misquote and all this stuff. However, if you can catch them in some of their lies, you can get as much information as you can. At least, maybe their congregation will wake up. Maybe. Unlikely, but you never know. But you should never just allow them to get away with misquoting evolution or science. They'll purposely give the wrong definition of theory. They don't know what a lot of them don't even know what a theory is. They'll completely lie about what a theory is, a lie about how science does this work. And of course, they will complain about science, about how science works. For example, they'll say, well, one second. So I guess I want to use a book. For example, they'll pick something like, molecular cell biology, Well, the science that's in this book, it was perfect 20 years ago, but we learned new stuff, and some of the stuff is not completely accurate. Of course, it's not true. But that's what they'll tell you. That's at least what they'll tell the congregation. Now, this is how science works. It gets new information and corrects itself. Scientists realize they're not perfect. They make errors. Something can go and even make it through peer review the first time. But the thing is, those scientists are constantly reviewing information. They're constantly checking the results and their data. More experiments are being done, and any errors that are in the experiment gets found, and the theory gets found. And then it gets tossed if it's, not valid. Because think about it this way about evolution. We're going to, and the next time, if you are a Christian, next time your preacher, or apologist bashes evolution, ask them these questions. First off, where did you get your degree to actually know all this stuff about science? Because, it takes scientists to go through a lot to get their degrees, okay? I have a degree in molecular biology, biochemistry. That's one thing you should ask them. The second thing is, okay, if you disprove evolution, if you have all this information that disproves evolution, do you really believe that 99.8% of all scientists are colluding together to hide any evidence against evolution, and that you just somehow figured it out. You're just smarter than all these people that have been studying this for decades, and this theory of evolution has been around for over 150 years, and you think that somehow you and your kind are going to be able to overthrow it? And then, of course, another one I love, though, is where's your Nobel Prize? If you have all this information, why are you not presenting it at science conferences and having it peer-reviewed? Why not? Why aren't you doing that? Because they're fools. They're lying to you. They are fools. And you're a fool for believing them if you do. I hate to say that, because if you don't actually trying to learn how science works, you're allowing them to teach you science, and they don't know nothing about science. Or they'll use a scientist that has a PhD, but of course works with the Creation Research Institute or some place like that that's not even credible, and they're not actually doing peer review. You know, it should tell you a little something, you know? Ask, where's your Nobel? Because if you can disprove evolution, you come up with evidence that disproves evolution, because watch all these other videos that explains evolution to you. You know, Khan Academy, Aaron Ra, Thunderfoot, and several others. But anyways, if you can disprove evolution, you get a Nobel Prize. Not only do you get that Nobel, you get a large sum of money. And this is not just and when I say a large sum, I'm talking about 7 figures. Over $1 million. And then you'll be famous amongst scientists. And let's face it, the media are a bunch of idiots, okay? They're a bunch of trash. They're garbage. They would love to present your information if you had anything credible. Or even halfway credible. The media would love to present it. You'll be famous. You'll be rich. Scientists would love you. You think that, oh, they just are, that's what they tell you, you know, because they're hoping that if you're in the congregation, they're hoping you're so foolish you don't see through them. You know, they'll tell you, well, they are so invested in this theory, they can't overthrow it, they won't listen to any information that's against it. That is bull crap, okay? Bull. Do you know how much money that scientists will get if you could disprove evolution? Because now I mean, you just open up a whole new door of research for them. I mean, they will be getting so much more money from the government, because the government is going to be interested in this. You just padded their wallets. They're making money now, more money than they're making now, because they have more research, because now they have to figure out how life got here. How did it evolve? Well, if it didn't evolve, then why does it look like it? What is causing it to look like this? Because whether or not you can prove or disprove evolution does not mean you're going to prove or disprove a God. Whether evolution is true or false does it have nothing to do with the existence of a God. Scientists are not trying to disprove your God. They don't care one way or the other. Most of them, even the Christians, actual scientists that are Christians, do not care. Okay? I mean, yeah, they may be religious and they care about their God, I'm saying, but their research isn't there to prove or disprove. Try to learn what science truly is. Don't let these bozos, you know, influence your thinking. But, you know, as it says, you know, Proverbs 26:4, answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou also be like unto him. Well, of course, if you don't answer him, you don't correct him, you're also like him. If you're sitting in the church congregation, the church pews, and you're allowing this preacher to disparage evolution, you know, I don't believe evolution. I heard somebody actually say, a preacher actually use this when I used to be a Christian. Life didn't evolve any more than buildings can evolve. What the hell are you talking about? In a way you can and explain how buildings evolve. At least the design of buildings have evolved over time, you know. Fire codes, the way they're built, you know. First off, when they first started, you know, they're 1 stories, and they can make them 2-story. They figured out how to, you know, do the foundations and everything to make them larger and longer, and have the elevators working properly, the stairs working properly, keep the building standing, keep it from catching on fire. Like I said, building codes, you know, fire codes and all this stuff. So in a way you can. I don't want to mention that preacher's name. I forgot his name. It doesn't matter. He runs his mouth real fast. He talks real fast and everything, hoping nobody catches all of his little errors. Because let's face it, preachers, they do appeal to emotion. Just like social justice warriors and Antifa and all those idiots. You know, let's appeal to emotion. And I like the fifth, verse 5. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. You do not want to let these preachers thinking they are getting away with stuff, these apologists. That's why we need people like Aaron Ra, Richard Dawkins and all these others. Richard Dawkins does a great job. He has a lot of great books. The Greatest Show on Earth, Climbing Mount Improbable, and a whole lot of us. The Ancestor's Tale, The Selfish Gene, and many others. I highly recommend you watching that. And then, of course, there's Undeniable by Bill Nye. And though Bill Nye seems to have went full retard with the shady jabby stuff, but, hopefully he'll correct it with all the people criticizing him for it. And you got Faith versus Fact by Jerry Cohn. Read those type of books. And it's a good idea to read their creationist books, because that way you get to see what they're saying. Because one thing I've noticed when I'm reading their books is they give a little bit of truth and they throw in a little bit of lies into it. They're hoping that you will be too much of a fool not to notice. And they're writing these books in such a way that their congregations won't forget it. One of the things, their favorite thing is using numbers. And how they get their numbers, I have no idea. The chances of this protein folding this way is 1 out of 10 to a billion, or this is 1 out of a trillion. They use statistics. They liar statistics, of course. Take courses in statistics and probability. You'll see through their nonsense. But like the good book says, the good book, yeah, right. The book of rape, slavery, incest, slaughtering, and all this stuff, yeah, whatever. But as it says, answer a fool according to his folly, or else he'll be wise in his own conceit. Well, that is it. Bye.